really a great opportunity. But that's the exciting times that we're living in. I'm super excited to be hosting you once again. My name is Lusanda Mahwape, founder of Dream Factory Foundation, and I'm here actually in my capacity with my co-host here, who is Bashangani Mahwape. Say hello.
Hello, everybody watching on the stream. Hello, everybody in the venue. Nice to see you all.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that today is going to be a truly a learning experience for you, because it's an exciting day, because we are here in our capacity as Social Innovation Challenge winners of 2018. So we want to be able just to share about our journey as CIC winners in 2018, because it's launching again this year, which is super, super, super exciting. And so we're hoping that you who's joining us today, you actually take up courage. I hope that you'll be encouraged by our story to actually say that you can also apply and possibly be a winner of the CIC for 2021. So before we start off, I have with me Ms. Njambi, who's the regional manager for I4C Africa Hub, who's going to be just welcome you everyone, officiate today's event, and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much. You're most welcome once again, Jambi.
Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome back to DFF's event, now focusing on Social Innovation Challenge. Innovation for Change is an organization that has been focusing on strengthening and protecting and respecting civic space for quite some time now. We're an organization, although based in Africa, we're also based all across the world. We currently focus on African initiatives that can lead to growth and prosperity for civil society organizations. We look for homegrown solutions. And the Social Innovation Challenge is really our flagship initiative as part of the Innovation for Change Africa Hub, because we launched it in 2018 and we're relaunching it again this year, our second cohort of Social Innovation Challenge events. And this year really focuses on the pandemic. So it's 3 themes focused around the pandemic, but just a bit of background about the Innovation for Change organization and what the Social Innovation Challenge is exactly. And Innovation for Change Africa has been looking to collaborate and network with CSOs in the region and looking for innovative ways to address some of the civic space challenges that have been facing the continent for quite some time. And we believe in partnerships and collaborations to enable us to address these issues. And our biggest goal is really to contribute to social impact. And to ensure that all the ideas and the projects that we put across really lead to change for everyone across the continent, and especially the Social Innovation Challenge itself is an opportunity for organizations to intricately look at their communities and look at their country and the sub-region in which they lie, to be able to come up with innovative ways of leading to social change there, especially now that this second version of the Social Innovation Challenge is coming out this year. It's an opportunity to address issues related to the pandemic that have really been challenged not only for the African continent, but across the globe. And it's really an opportunity to work together within your teams or as individuals to use this opportunity to help contribute to that change. So it's very exciting to be here today, to be able to talk a little bit about this, but also just to welcome back Lusanda and DFF, Dream Factory Foundation, that were one of the winners in 2018, because the idea was really amazing, and obviously they'll speak more about it. But in 2018, we launched, we were able to seed fund 5 ideas out of the 90 applications that we received. And really this was high quality work. And unfortunately, we hoped that we could fund more, but we only had enough funding to fund 5. And Lusanda and her team were one of the winners of that particular initiative in 2018, and they've come from so far. They're going to speak a little bit about it, but to see how little funds can contribute to massive change for an organization, but not only the organization itself, but the impact that it causes in their community and the sub-region, just because it arose from a small opportunity to something that grew into something bigger that could be scaled and could have such an impact on the continent. So these are the kind of ideas that we're looking to promote and help foster and scale up, because they make such a significant change, especially in this climate that we're in. So we're really hoping to receive another batch of really amazing applications this year. And we hope to fund 8 of them, and I'll speak a little bit about that later. But just to let Lusanda and her team jump in and provide a bit of their experience with the Social Innovation Challenge. It's good to see some familiar faces there. I know that these guys have been working very hard on the ground, so we haven't really had an opportunity to hear from them. And also we're in the middle of a pandemic. But over to Lusanda and team. Very excited to hear about what you've been doing for the past 2 years.
All right, thank you so much, Njambi, for that. And I think that's the essence of why I love the fact that we're launching the challenge this way, so that we truly can walk through the journey, because it truly was that it stemmed from an idea. So to be able to do justice to sharing about it, I just thought I would be brave enough to take you back 3 years ago, 2018, to when I mustered the courage to do the video and applying for this. And just to kind of also give you an insight about when you're preparing your video, maybe you can get some tips and tricks on that. But the first thing I want you to just take note of is that the fund is not looking for established ideas necessarily. Literally, when I did this video, it was a passion and an idea. I started with an idea. So if you have that burning idea that is fitting within the thematic areas of the challenge, then this is definitely for you. So watch this video.
Okay.
Hi, Lusanda. There's no sound on the video.
Okay. All right. I apologize for that. Oh, maybe you might know. We're just going to try one more thing and see if we're going to get sound on this video.
Looks like the technical problem won't be able to play the video, so maybe just take them through.
Okay, so I'll just take you through my process. Basically, what happened is that I had just come from South Africa and landing into Botswana, and I took about a period of about a year just to observe the environment and to really study and understand what is the problem that I wanted to tackle. And I noticed a gap within the information access that smallholder farmers, particularly in Botswana, had in relation to access to opportunities, whether it's government institutions solutions. And we thought, aligning with the SIC challenge, how can we use technology to be able to close that gap? And so, like I said, it literally was an idea at that point in time, but it's an idea that I deeply was passionate about. And that's how I basically pitched my application form. It just seemed so big and wild at the time that I honestly never thought that it would be selected, and it was. And so hence our journey in 2018 began with a small team. We were 4 at the time, thinking through, okay, guys, this idea is actually going to receive some form of funding. How do we make this funding catalytic so that it goes to the next level? Because if you can look at the monetary value, perhaps of what it is that you're trying to achieve, the fund, it might not be all that you need. You might probably need bigger funding. But what I've learned with the SIC challenge is that it's important to start with what you have, leverage the networks that you have, and then to build from there. Because once you at least have something that's catalytic, like this grant, it's a catalyst to take you to the next step, and that step takes you to the next step. So once you received the congratulations, the team then said that we had the opportunity to go and learn more in Ghana. And so that's where Basha had the privilege of going. So you can please share with us your experience in Ghana.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Basha. I'm privileged to be part of this Dream Factory team. I'm a technical person, so I went there to represent the technical side of things, like to present the idea to the people who were in Ghana. It was a collective of several people from several African countries, civil society organizations, as well as innovators, basically innovators, social entrepreneurs, people solving problems in society, looking at what are the problems and what are the challenges in society and how do we solve them. But we don't just want to solve problems for a few people, for 50 people. We want to solve problems in a scalable way. So this project, with the support of Innovation for Change Africa, it helped us rethink what we're doing, to say, how do we look at the continent and not just the corner where we are from in Botswana, which is Francistown. So how do you look at Francistown? How do we look at Botswana? And how do you look at Africa? Because the problems are the same throughout. So throughout my time in Ghana, I'll put some pictures up. It was amazing to see the different innovators from different places. Some are solving problems of water. In Botswana, most of us have running water in the cities, but when you go to the villages, not everyone has a tap coming to their homes. So different types of problems. We chose agriculture as a problem and a solution that we could implement. So just to take you through a few pictures before I proceed. Yeah, there were about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners, which won about $10,000. We were testing our idea. That means we had a hypothesis, we had a way we believed we could solve it, and we wanted to test, is this solution good for the problem that you have? Other guys were already scaling the ideas. There were people at different places. So the team from Innovation for Change Africa were really helpful to choose different people from different walks in the entrepreneurship journey. Okay, that's me winning. Oh, let me share the screen for everybody else. Okay, cool. That's a team. We had guys from Nigeria, DRC, and Uganda, and a few other countries. And then we had multiple people from all over the continent. So there were 5 winners, but there were about 20, 30 other organizations which shared ideas on how we could also scale up our ideas. So we're learning from experts, from people who are running innovation hubs to people running more formal lobbying kind of civil service organizations. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's all I'll share for now. I think I'll come in just a bit later.
I remember I didn't get to go to Ghana, but I recall that Basha said, for example, one of the experts in Botswana was Tabisa of these hands. So he came on board as an expert to share his expertise. So for me, I think what is I'm deeply passionate about these kinds of innovation projects is that the opportunity for us as Africans within our continent to collaborate, to really understand what is happening else within our continental ecosystem, and most importantly, to see how we can work together. I think it's really our time. It really is an Africa Rise time right now. And I think the most important thing for us to realize is that it's not in isolation to everyone else. I think the general sentiment and the spirit, even from the webinar before, is that we are at the forefront. We are the youngest continent in the world, which means so much responsibility is on us, so much to see, so much is on us to create opportunities for the myriad of challenges that we are facing. And as you can see, even with COVID, for example, how Africa has been praised in terms of how we've been able to deal with the crisis. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. I'm excited because it exposes you to what is happening in the continent as well. So here we are in Ghana. Bash, you came back, and from coming back, what was the next to go-to steps from there?
This was the hardest stage now. Lusanda came up with an idea, but now we had to move the idea from just an idea to an actual product. So me as a technical person, I got my team together and we started developing this application like we had thought of. This application, the goal of the application was to say, in sub-Saharan Africa or some countries in Africa, the yield, basically what we reap from what we plow compared to the rest of the world, the percentage is a tenth of what the rest of the world harvests. So in a hectare, we would harvest, let's say 300 kilograms a hectare, whereas other places they would harvest 3 tons per hectare. What is the problem? And how can we meet the needs of the people who are having this problem? As you know, in Botswana, farming is mostly done by subsistence farmers. That means our aunties at the villages. It's not a commercial thing. The young people in this room, and I'm sure that are watching, are in the cities. They're not farming. So I'll call them aunties and uncles and grandparents, just broadly speaking, they do not have access to information. They do not have access to tools and technology. They have phones, but their phones do not have internet, or they do not buy bundles to access the internet. So we are saying, how do we reach out to them and give them the tools, information they need in order to grow their farms and increase their harvests? So coming back, we developed this solution. We thought it was beautiful. I'm going to run you through the website just to explain what it does a bit. But we thought it was a beautiful solution. But a few months down the line, we realized it is not really impacting the people that we had made it to impact. They were not being able to access it as we thought they would access it. So let me just quickly share the screen again.
And just with that in mind, it's very important for you to understand what different grants will give you, right? So this kind of grant is, I would say, your patient grant, because you can come in with an idea, and the idea is that you're not under the pressure for this idea must work now. They are patiently walking with you for you to be able to really understand the hypothesis, understand the problem, test it out, from there move to the next level. So we're telling you our honest story so that you guys don't feel intimidated, but I think it comes with the responsibility that it's important for us to finish what we start. Like, for example, in Botswana, I know sometimes the challenge that the government has faced with the youth fund is that someone will get 10,000 pula, 50,000 pula. Come next year, 2 years down the line, there's no implementation. So the 50-50 of this kind of grant is, yes, there's the patience to allow you to put your idea on the ground, but there's the responsibility that you need to have the results on the ground. You need to actually back up your idea and actually do something about it.
Okay, cool. We'll come back to that. There's a point I want to make to that. But if you see on the screen, I believe it's being shared. Right now it's called 50/50 Farmers App. Initially it was called 50/50 Hotline.
Yes, it was 50/50 hotline.
Okay, you want to go into why it was called 50/50
So
Hotline?
the dream with that was that we wanted to basically create a hotline for the farmer to be able to call, and then they would have access to an agronomist, be able to give them that idea. But that's like another leap and a half. So that's the thing. I think that's the cool thing with when you have a grandiose idea, being in an incubated space allows you to be like, okay, before you go there, what's the next critical step that we need to do now? And so our next critical step was to develop the web app.
Okay, cool. So essentially, it's a web app. I'll take you through the website. The point of the web app is to give access to knowledge. So, what knowledge does a farmer need in order to grow? When the farmer first registers on the website, we get data from them. We ask you where you are, we get your GPS coordinates. We ask you what land you have, the size of your land. Is it debushed? Is it not debushed? Is it fenced? Is it not fenced? Do you have any heating in there, any electricity, any water systems, or are you using rain-fed agriculture? That gives us access to a profile of the farmer. Then we know what information they need. So if we know that they have 4 hectares, they've only plowed on 2 hectares, they plowed tomato, we're able to know, okay, how are we going to make use of the other 2 hectares? What can you plow in this season that's needed for you to either grow your revenue or grow your yields? That's another thing. The second thing is increasing yields. That's the most important thing. Food security is a critical issue, especially going into these times that we have been in of COVID. When borders close, we see a lot of things in our shops reducing because we can't import them into the country. And another thing is youth employment. We're tackling youth unemployment. So we're saying there's lots of opportunity back in the rural areas or the farmlands, more than there is in the city as is. How do we get people who've gone to university in the cities, who've gone to Botswana University of Agriculture, Botswana College of Agriculture, how do we get them into their lands instead of working at Ministry of Agriculture in the cities? How do we get them working the land? So this brings in more issues of where do they get paid from? We need new business models. So this increased the amount of work we had, where we had to now look for experts to come contribute into our thinking process and our business models, how to create a more scalable, practical thing, working with government, private sector, and individual farmers. So our solution is mostly on data. We just get a lot of data, lots of data inputs, we aggregate it, we run it through some systems, we use artificial intelligence as well, and it guides us as to what is needed where on the ground. The second thing is technology. So the farmer can go on there if they've got access to the internet, which is a big problem that we faced, then get information from an agronomist and know what they can do thereafter. The link is 5050.africa. At the moment, we are iterating. We are moving the platform from a web app to a WhatsApp application. A WhatsApp application is a fairly new innovation, but it is essentially a chatbot. Everybody here is on WhatsApp. Not everybody here downloads applications. Not everybody here uses data to go onto websites, and they don't know how to, but every single person uses WhatsApp, or at least 95% of people, including those in the rural communities. When we buy data bundles in Africa, we're not buying data bundles to surf the web. We're buying social bundles to access Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp. So developing this app, this iteration now on WhatsApp, enables us to access more people across a wide range of situations, whether they have network challenges, whether they don't have money to buy 4 internet bundles, we're able to reach out to them. Do you want to speak on that as well?
All right.
On not being able to reach to all the other farmers we couldn't get to based on your road shows.
Oh, so for example, yeah, I think there's so much learning that we've done. You know, I grew up in the townships, moved to the city, and now I want to speak on behalf of farmers. So, you know, my personal journey has been that I learned that I have to leverage opportunities with government. So I spent a lot of time in my district office in Francistown in the Ministry of Agriculture to try and understand what was happening from a governmental perspective, what support are they providing to farmers, and to learn that maybe in the office there's only one van for the entire department to be able to service the whole northern district of farmers. So thinking through about, that's how we got to rethink the web app format to say, are we really gonna, if we're saying we want to reach small scale farmers, are we going to be able to really reach them through a web app? And if government can't reach them because they don't have enough vans, what is the most accessible thing that we can do? But my other second journey was for me, myself personally, to become a farmer. It's not to say you must immerse yourself so much in the problem, but to really, really deeply understand the problem that you're trying to reach. So since last year, for example, I started farming on a 1 hectare plot. So from bee farming to horticulture, just trying to see and really understand what are the pains that farmers get to go through, what happens in their daily lives. If we're really trying to reach them over the phone, will they have the time? What are their waking up times? What are their knock-off times? And I think that's the whole, I guess the message we want to echo as you think through this idea that you want to pitch. Do you deeply have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to solve? At what level do you have an understanding of this problem? To what extent have you put your shoes in the people that you're trying to solve for? And also the power of leveraging the government. I know, for example, in Botswana, they'll tell you we might not have the funding to give you, but we do have access to database. We do, at some point, for example, 2018, we hosted a farmers market. And that farmers market, the venue, the government gave it to us for free at the farming site that they have there in Francistown. So yeah.
Yeah, but also feedback from the farmers on what's the most important thing they wanted or needed. One of the things we noticed was, at the end of the day, why people do what they do is they want to eat or they want income. So we are not thinking of tackling that issue. We are looking at, our goal is increasing yields. Our goal is getting data. But the farmer's goal will be like, I don't need to increase my yields because I can't sell what I have now. That was the feedback we got from the road shows and the different farmers we're going to. So in this phase of also moving to WhatsApp, we've partnered with an e-commerce platform, which enables us to sell the produce directly from the farmers to the end consumer. So now we are solving two problems. Our primary problem, yes, is increasing yields, but their primary problem is we want income from what we have. Before it goes off, we want to be able to sell it. So that's added another problem that we are solving, but because it's a partnership with somebody else and collaboration, it makes things easier.
I also want to touch on your team. Think about your team very, very well. For example, so we started saying, I'm the one that started with the idea, but I can't develop applications, And so Basha's team is the one that's able to do that. So really thinking about your team and the stickability of your team. $10,000 is not enough to sustain you personally if you're not working. It finishes like this. You might think, at 100,000 bula. Initially, I remember the first time I got a grant, it was also something like 10,000 bula. I remember I phoned my mom, Mama, I was like crying so much, and it seemed like it would last me a lifetime. But actually, in hindsight, 10,000 bula really is not it's not about your stomach, if I can put it there. It's not about, so don't see the grant in terms of, it can help you like maybe $1,000 in terms of the work that you put in, but it's not enough to sustain you. It's literally that catalytic grant to help you to get your idea on the ground. So there's a personal challenge you have to solve, right? In the previous webinar, we're talking, Homoto, for example, last year, she was like, okay, I'm going to focus on this full time. So solving your personal income situation is very, very important. So either you're going to continue with your work and then do this as your after 5, or you're just going to be like, something will happen. But it's interesting because the previous panelist as well, Christopher, he was like, I had enough to last me a year and 6 months. And then I was like, this thing is actually going to take 3 years. So even us, I mean, we won 2018 and we're still figuring it out ourselves. We gained ground, but we're still not at that hotline initial idea, right? So things always take longer than you think they will. So just to let you know that this is the catalytic grant. So don't think about it in terms of solving your personal bread and butter issues.
Yeah, and just on that point, when you do get the grant, the idea or the goal is to get sustainable as fast as possible.
Yes.
It may not be easy, so at some point you have to put in your own resources into it, whether it's actual money or time that you're not paid for, until you get it to that point where it's sustainable. But now when you're working with teams and other people who are not thinking that way, they need to be paid. So you have to be creative and innovative to keep the work going and the work flowing. If you need money to take your ag experts to the farms, where's the money coming from until you create a revenue model? So we are in the process with this new e-commerce integration. That's a revenue model that we're looking at to see now we're getting actual income. Because our business model before was we're going to have a lot of data, organizations, government, input providers are going to want to pay for it. But it's not that easy walking into government and say, here's data, give me money. Yeah.
So in the grant process, for example, when you apply for the proposal, the question of sustainability is a biggie, biggie, biggie. How are you going to sustain what you've started? So in terms of tips for that, linking and partnering with institutions is actually part of your sustainability. And any project that wants to truly make a national impact, you can't ignore government. So the relationships that you form with government at whatever level are very, very important. That they know about your idea and they are aware about your idea, even at district or local level, becomes very important. But I mentioned that to say that it can be part of your sustainability answer. Don't be scared of mentioning things like leveraging of other partners as well within the same space, volunteers. That's also sustainability. So don't think of sustainability in terms of how you're going to get more money now, because you can't answer that question. Another thing that you can talk about is your revenue model that Basha is talking about, to say, I'm thinking that once this idea gets off the ground, this is how I think it's going to make money. So for example, you could say, if you're creating a platform, once I reach a critical mass, maybe of 10,000 people using the platform, then I can start advertising. Right. And that's how then I can bring revenue. Or you can think of maybe I'll supply. I know, for example, here in Botswana, we love maybe doing events, but events are not too much of a big, or selling T-shirts. So those can be maybe 2% of your sustainability plan. But I would say the biggest portion of your sustainability plan is your revenue model, how you think your idea is going to make money moving forward, and also the partners that you're going to bring in who are stable. They're going to provide either time, expertise, resources, etc. into your idea. Cool. So in terms of where we are now, Bash, do you want to, I think we kind of also touched on it, but where are we at now? In terms of this grant, I can't necessarily promise that is what's going to happen to the 2021 winners. But what's happened with us is that it didn't end up being, for the 5 winners, a once-off grant. They actually said, okay, we're proud of what you've done so far. We're willing to take you another step with some funding to see how more you can strengthen your idea. Because if you look up Africa Hub, they are about creating this hub and network of innovators across the continent. So your idea has to have a continental perspective to it, right? Even if it's at regional level, but think about how your local idea has the ability to replicate itself in other places. Even though you might not know how, but think about it and have that mindset that I may start here because it's good to start local so you can test your idea. But from this local idea, how is it going to scale to the next level, and particularly within our own continent? So for them, as the hub, their interest is to say, as long as we see that you are passionate and you are really doing something about your idea, we'll walk with you as long as we can. So obviously they also apply for funding at a bigger level. So as long as they're able to, they are pushing as well on our behalf. That's basically what I'm saying, that they pushing on our behalf, because when we succeed, essentially they also succeed. So that's where we at. We're now at the, we're being funded again for this year. And so that's what they've communicated with. And I think that's what I really deeply appreciate with these kinds of funds, because even myself, when I started the NGO in South Africa, my first grantee was the kind of grantee that was able to walk with me a 5-year journey. That was saying, I understand these things take time. I'm going to be patient with you. I'm going to provide you with the resources, the mentorship, the support. I can't give you millions, but let's see what you can do with what I'm able to give you. So this is that kind of grant.
Okay.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you touched on everything, and we also touched on where to from here. Where to from here is increasing accessibility to everyone. If there's 2 million people in Botswana, for example, 1.2 million of them, or half of them, have access to a smartphone with WhatsApp. So we can reach almost every single farmer, provided they're in a place where there's network. With the original web app, what we're also doing is making it what you call a PWA, progressive web app, where they do not need to be connected to the internet. They can work on it and get data in and out of there. And once they do go to a village where there's internet, it automatically synchronizes. And then the biggest thing, like we mentioned, is connecting farmers to e-commerce. There's multiple business models there. It's direct to the consumer, B2C, or it could be B2B to an aggregator who's getting it, or B2B to people who are selling to restaurants. And now that we're part of the platform for e-commerce, it's not just vegetables and produce. We can go into chickens, for example, to add onto the platform. But we're taking it one step at a time, testing, seeing the results, iterating until there's a perfect product market fit all the way.
So I see a comment from Emma. She's asking, I wanted to find out more information about the social data bundle issue. And please, from here, from the guys here to the online, please let me know if you have any questions about the fund itself. This is why we're here, you know, for you to ask. And so even with the show of, just to see interest, is anyone here that's interested in applying? Nice. So so we have people interested, so please do ask me tips and tricks. I have a group called Botswana Youth Leaders, where I've said I will avail my time to the guys who say they really want to apply, to be able just to give you some tips on how best to position yourself for the grant. But Emma's asking, I want to hear a little bit more about that social data bundle matter, please.
Okay. The question is not very clear, but I will try answer it. With the audience that is here in this room, how many of you own a smartphone? Can you lift your hands? Can you participate? Okay,
Everyone.
that's 95%. That's everybody.
95, okay.
Do you have a smartphone?
Nope.
Okay, we won't get into that now. How many of you have access to Wi-Fi or mobile data all the time?
Wow.
Okay, that's 80% has gone down. How many of you buy social bundles most of the time? 40%, 50%, or just over. Social bundles are essentially bundles that are bought from networks, but they're cheaper than the normal data bundles. So you'll get access to specific websites, which is Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, and maybe Instagram, maybe TikTok. But you cannot access your normal apps like your Gmail app. You cannot access what other apps?
Any app in general.
Yeah, any app in general if you don't have a normal data bundle. So if you use a social
they say
data
which
bundle,
bundles you can connect to it,
Yeah.
which is usually TikTok, Facebook.
yeah, which is the things used by most people. So the reason why we went the WhatsApp route is 95% of people with smartphones use WhatsApp. That means all they need to do to use a platform is send hi, and automatically they're onboarded onto the application. I hope that is clear with the social bundle question.
So we were trying to find the cheapest, most accessible way to make our application available. And we found that WhatsApp was the cheapest, most accessible way, the next level to an application. So that means the only way that a farmer wouldn't be able to access is if they don't have um, a smartphone. But then with the research that we did is that Botswana has the highest penetration of smartphones, including for farmers. So the majority, even small scale farmers, would have a smartphone.
The old way of tackling this problem was using USSD, which was *12 something hash. But that's a very difficult way because it times out. You cannot get a lot of information. It's limited to the number of characters and the speed at which the information comes back at you.
Yeah. Does anyone here have a question about the application process at this point? Yes, a suggestion.
Maybe, I don't know, it is about maybe zero rating and up.
Okay.
Once you have a partnership with the government, which was the idea where you can, instead of, I can see you have the model such that you want the farmers to keep the data, but what if you work with the government to collect the data, like maybe the fields, they have what they call this field assistance. The fields, they are the ones performing that job as a form of monitoring their performance. Instead, they are the one using the app to collect the data and they allow to register the farmer can therefore then if they want to see a specialist or soil scientist or whatever, when they make such bookings, they are required directly to the scientist, to if it's the soil scientist, there's a booking of the soil scientist, it's there on the system.
Nice.
That way, when you are working with the government, they can zero rate the app.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Do you want to repeat the question for the people online?
So on our audience here, they're suggesting that we zero rate the app, number one, and then also to work with government, to work with their field officers, right? And their experts, so that when they are on the field, they are able to feed back the data that we're looking at into our system. Instead of us also being on the field, we can partner with government that way. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so thank you for the suggestion. On the zero rating, we did look at it initially, but because initially it was a hotline, when we wanted to speak to the mobile network operators, somebody has to pay for it. So you are suggesting government pays for the zero rating of the app. Okay, so that means a collaboration with government. We are exploring business models with government integration in this year, but we do not want to go through the normal government procurement channels. We want it to be a standalone, scalable application that anybody can license, anybody can use. But that's 100% brilliant suggestion. Did you have a question somewhere?
Oh, yes, I have a question. Thank you so much for your time and opportunity. I wanted to ask about the application. Where do we get the guidelines? The site, like when is it open? When is it due? The terms and conditions, etc.
Awesome. So, Jambi, this is a great time for you to come in because the next question was about the access to the application, timelines, guidelines, etc. So you're welcome to take it away. But in the meantime, we're going to open the Innovation for Change Facebook page because that's where they're going to post the open call for applications. If you don't get it by email. How I had access to it is because I'm a member of Civicus. And if you are an NGO leader listening, Civicus Global Alliance is a great network to be a part of, to access information resources about the civic space in globally, what is happening, what is the talking points or the crime points within the civic space at the moment, how you can get involved. But they also do put out call for applications. And so this was one of the call for applications that they put out in 2018. So Civicus Global Alliance. So that's CIVICUS, Civicus.
And the Facebook page is Innovation for Change Africa or at Hub Afrique, AFRIQUE, Hub Afrique. Okay, Njambi, I think you can take over from here.
And a shout out to Kenneth. Thank you for saying hello.
Thank you, Lusanda, and yeah, thank you so much for letting us provide some visibility to this event. For those who weren't on the webinar event, I'm glad to repeat and go over the application details as well as the eligibility criteria and what you really need to pay attention to. So please keep those questions coming in. Let us know what exactly you're looking for in terms of information. So just as I had previously mentioned on the webinar, but now a more detailed information around SIG 2020, we really have 3 key themes as we did in 2018 to focus on. And the first one is government accountability and transparency. We have supporting marginalized and vulnerable communities, and we have community rights and resilience. And government accountability and transparency really focuses on mitigating opportunities for embezzlement and misuse of resources devoted to COVID-19. So initiatives that really support oversight of rescue packages and economic stimulus measures, defending rights and access to information, as well as civic space issues that relate to the impact of COVID-19 using emergency measures. The applications itself should really look cohesive, and we encourage organizations to work together and come up with innovative ways of bringing about social change. So we encourage youth organizations, CSOs, cooperatives, community or people's organizations, as well as social enterprises across the region. And we're looking for scalable, innovative solutions that are either technology-based, policy relevant, research or advocacy-based, and that respond to an issue related to COVID-19 and the pandemic. So an idea that can really produce long-term change for the continent with the aim of deepening social impact in more sustainable ways through entrepreneurship. We also have supporting marginalized and vulnerable communities as a second theme. And this is really looking to launch support networks for marginalized and vulnerable communities, including women, youth, refugees, and other marginalized communities, and looking for innovative ways that they can connect together with local government and international or regional human rights platforms. And the third theme is community rights resilience, and this is related to enhancing communities' understanding of human rights where there's a crisis, harnessing civic innovation towards communicating real-time accurate information related to COVID-19 and human rights abuses, especially in hard-to-reach communities. So reinforcing people's involvement with the government in response to COVID-19. The timeline and structure, we're hoping to really launch as soon as possible, definitely this month. So the open call for applications will go out soon. Just a few details about the guidelines, which will be definitely posted on our platform, not only this page that Lusanda has shared, but we have an Innovation for Change SIG 2021 platform that's already created, and you'll be able to access all the information on there, as well as our social media pages, the Facebook that were shared, and as well as Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube as well for the videos, for the ideas that will be shared. And basically, they have to relate to the key 3 themes pointed out here. And then the applicants can be individuals or teams as large as 5 people. So you can apply individually or apply within your team. It's open to the organizations. The eligibility criteria was open to these organizations that I had mentioned. So women-based organizations, youth, grassroots, the organizations that really have worked in their communities for a long period of time, that also are focused on social entrepreneurship, that are startups, and that are also, if they're not registered in their country, as an organization, using this opportunity to maybe network and work with other organizations to apply as one unit. And the criteria for evaluating the applications relate to audience expansion, which is one of the criteria. It looks at the social impact on the number of countries and the number of people served by this particular idea or initiative. So we're hoping to see a bit of that. We're hoping to see association, which is the second criteria that evaluations will be reviewed, is expansion of the project or the project size, coverage through collective efforts and are coalition-based or network-based through the three key themes, and are also technology enhancers. So can they produce a service that is accompanied by the development of a feature or technological function that can be added as a social media tool and analysis. An example of that could be an advocacy app to enhance exposure to the issue being addressed. The benefits relate to, there are three kind of benefits. They relate to getting seed funding. Obviously, as in 2018, we were able to fund 5 ideas. So we were only able to fund 5 ideas out of 90 applications that we received, which is very unfortunate because they were all really brilliant ideas. And we were only able to fund 5. And this year we've upped the number to 8. So we'll be able to fund 8 ideas in total. For a total amount of $10,000 each. So, and we're really hoping to receive applications from all across the continent sub-region. So to create that equilibrium, to not only have a specific number of applications coming from one region, to have it be representative across the continent and to really get those brilliant ideas that are representative of issues on the ground in all aspects of our continent. So that's what we're looking for. And also there'll be, aside from the monetary award, it will be, mentorship that will be provided to the winners. All 8 winners will receive mentorship as the winners in 2018 did, the 5 winners did. It'll be a year-long mentorship that the I4C Innovation for Change Africa Hub will be providing alongside its global network. The Innovation for Change is not only based in Africa, it also has 7 other regional centers. So they'll be also assisting in helping to scale up these evidence-based activities and these ideas, and through a learning and innovation lab, where their grantees will be able to build their capacity based off of a communities of practice, which will host our interregional partners from across the globe, as well as our Civicus partners. And from the platform, the Learning and Evaluation and Innovation Labs, grantees will really be able to prototype their strategies, test them out with the network members, the hub network members, and create a multimedia exhibition of their projects that will showcase the innovative ideas behind their project, and looking for impacts and the outcomes of what these projects will really be looking for. So as I mentioned, all this will be accessible on the platform, which will be, which we will advertise on our social media pages. So please be on the lookout for information about this call for applications, information about the SIG 2020-2021. We really encourage all of you to apply. There's some really fantastic ideas that require urgent attention. We're living amidst a pandemic. It's a really great initiative to get at least some seed funding to get you started, as Lusanda and her team did with Dream Factory Foundation, and to get these ideas at least to a stage where they can start to cause social impact and contribute to change within your individual communities. So please be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions, you can definitely address it to the Africa at innovationforchange.net web address, email address, and we can be able to answer your questions through there. Lusanda, over to you. I don't know if that answered the majority of the questions that are incoming.
Did you answer your question? Super. I'm not seeing any questions on the chat group. I think but Basha was actually asking me if since we're located in Botswana, for example, if you are Botswana and you're thinking, yeah, but I can get funding from government, then I was to respond, but the youth fund is a loan. It's a soft loan, but this grant is not a loan at all. You don't have to pay back. But what I can tell you is that how generally US funded grants are structured even at EU level, which this one is that they now give you in tranches. So as opposed to getting the full 10,000 at the beginning, you start off with 20%. And then when you reach certain milestones, I think it's one of those, like if you've been burnt many times and there's like stricter measures. So that's how this grant is basically distributed. So once you prove that you've been able to achieve the milestones that you set, not they set, you set the milestones, then it releases the voucher for the next amount. So maybe it'll be the next 30%, et cetera, which is why I was emphasizing at the beginning that it's a catalytic grant. So it's not the grant that's going to sustain you necessarily, to cover all the other months when you're trying to get, because 20% to start can be quite a small amount, but you can start something with it. So, which is why the collaboration is important. So I wouldn't necessarily apply as one, so that you can share the responsibility with other people as well. All right, so we are actually within our time. I'm just gonna do a last round. Anybody has any questions? We are good. Anybody online with questions? All right, but it's okay. Don't feel pressured to answer now. Like Njambi said, you can go into the Hub Afrique Facebook page or any of the mediums to ask questions. I really want to say thank you to the I4C Africa Hub team for creating this opportunity. Congratulations for being able to launch SIC once again for 2021 and even now to 8 organizations. Actually, I have a question myself to the team. Will you be doing any traveling to Ghana for this grant like we did in 2018? I didn't hear that one come up.
Sorry, Lusanda or Bush, were you saying something? I think you guys were on mute.
Like for 2018, one member of the team traveled to Ghana. So will there be that aspect as well in 2021?
Unfortunately, because of the COVID measures and the protocols in place, we really have to be careful about travel. Travel is not a major aspect of our work this year because of COVID. So we really are trying to follow the protocols and the measures in place and really have more online interactions as we complement the work that we're doing. So you guys were very lucky in 2018 when we went in the middle of a pandemic to be able to travel freely and to meet other members of the hub face to face, which is so important to the work that we do. It's a face to face interaction. Unfortunately, we're under a new normal way of working. Our style of working has completely changed. So we won't have that interaction, but we'll definitely be available and supporting online in the best capacity possible.
All right, thank you so much for that. Before we close off, I want to say, please give us
Lusanda, sorry, there are 2 questions in the chat.
Improving, and the link for that feedback form is on the chat function. We really want to know how we can make this better. It's the very first time something like this is happening, so we definitely know there's room for improvement. And then I see one last question which reads, did you partner with employed people who have stable source of income, or did you use volunteers? And if you use volunteers, how committed were the volunteers without remuneration? So yes, we worked with the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of expertise. So for example, for me in the farm physically, they would come to give their advice on the farm physically. From a tech perspective, Bash, did you volunteer with people?
No, everyone is a paid employee.
All right, so everyone was a paid employee, but it was about, we definitely did use a multi-level approach. And for us, our key volunteer partner was the government itself, yeah. All right, there are 2 questions in the chat. Which ones did I miss? Let me just check before we close. So for further information, this is an email address you can contact. It would be africa@innovationforchange.net. I'll repeat that. Africa, it's also in the chat function, africa@innovationforchange.net. The second question is, how easy was it to find partners or volunteers that would not rely on the grant for personal income? How easy was it to find volunteers or partners that would not rely on the grant?
I think we're focused on that more now. We're approaching people who want nominal amounts, meaning something for my travel, something small for my airtime data, but it's not a payment per se. So that approach it doesn't take a lot of resources away from you, but it incentivizes the people you work with. Because this project is currently under an organization, it is non-equity, so there's no equity to give to anybody. But we'll see as we go along how that changes.
Yes, and our biggest costs have been developing the application itself. So, for example, that the biggest funding was for the developers that developed that. In terms of engaging government, all of that was volunteer based on the team. So that was the sacrifice that we personally made to be able to make sure that we achieve more than we could get from the funding. All right, so the post-event survey is on the chat function. Please fill it out. We really want to hear from you. Other than that, I want to say happy International Women and Girls in Science Day. I know I have a webinar on that later on, and even earlier here at the Botswana Innovation Hub was a beautiful, beautiful event with young girls on that. Happy day. Thank you so much for joining us. And I really, really sincerely hope that there'll be applications from the people that joined us today. Enjoy the rest of the week. God bless you. It's been such an honor to host you today. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. You've been so inspirational, Lisanda and the team today. Much, much appreciated.
Thank you, Lusanda. Thank you, DDF.
Thank you, Njambi.